Alright, so I'm back here trying to finish up my static site generator. Unfortunately, the last two versions, I guess, of this video went a little bit off track. So, one thing that I wanted to explain was how are we combining our partials into a single like static piece of HTML. And I created a small Python script that goes through and grabs folder or our files from the folder and ultimately squashes all the HTML files into one HTML called index.html. All the CSS is copied is ultimately copied over into the assets folder, where then it is imported. So if we look here, we have a reset. Actually, I forgot how I wrote this. Oh no, yeah, that's it. We create a new, okay. So how does this work? Where is my CSS? CSS full file path. Assets. Yeah, so, oh yeah, I know what happens. So our HTML files, sorry, our CSS files are just directly linked using a tag. So it's able to point it into the directory where it exists, and that's how we're able to import our individual CSS files. Cool. The last thing is the JS file that gets tagged and created. So we grab all of the JS files, just go ahead and grab them as strings, write them into the new file, and now all our methods are ready to be used by the single index.html. This JavaScript file is also imported, so it's ready to go. And yeah, that is basically all the script does. So why is this better than some other tooling that exists, you may be asking. I will say that this is code agnostic. Doesn't have to be in Python to do some of these simple concatenations. Yeah, we're using Beautiful Soup to grab divs to insert our new HTML, but ultimately that can be replicated by a multitude of other languages that can work with HTML markup. It's not just Python, though Python I think has some of the best support with that with Beautiful Soup. But ultimately, there's not a ton here that is there's not a ton of magic that's involved. It's pretty straightforward for how things get linked, how files get built, and it's mostly a little bit of like just text rendering. So very simple. We're not converting from one language to another. In the case of something like React or templating language, like in Go, like the Go HTML templating or Python templating libraries like Jinja, etc. So that's the rundown of how the script works. Again, forgot to mention this, but you provided the partials in order that you want it to sit on the page. In this case, my page reads top from bottom, so maybe there are websites that don't necessarily work like that, but this model works for what I'm trying to build. It doesn't need to be much more complex than that at the moment. So let's see if we can render out our new file, because we're able to get text on the screen. So The first thing we want to do is check exactly we want to first check what is happening right now. So if I remember correctly, we are basically grabbing the body of the document after the JavaScript script has run in the browser, and this is the file that we want. This is going to be our static file that contains the text that we want. The question is, how do we get this out of the browser and into our Python script so then it can be safely, or so it can be saved into whatever bundle we're going to deploy onto a server. So let's see. You can create a blob file. I do want to change this to HTML too. But blob. HTML type. Let's see. Can we give it? Know what that does. We'll keep it for now. I guess it doesn't matter. We want it to be text. Okay, instead of something else. Okay, so there's a cool DOM API called the create object URL, and you can put any arbitrary data. In this case, we have what's called a blob file-like object of immutable raw data. Okay, so in this case, we're grabbing the text from our DOM, the HTML, and we're encoding it into a blob. A blob is sent to this create object URL, where if we go here, we can view it. Cool. So this is what makes up the website. Now, what we want to do is okay, so it spits out the URL. I'm thinking we can have our Python script make a query to this URL. If we make a query to it, then we can just it would just make a GET request and like download this body, and then it can spit it out into a new file. However, this is a random string. I wonder if we can give it our own, like custom one. Your whole lifetime was provide URL. The thing is, I don't know if this is like a thing. What? The URL could be I don't know, but the problem is this is still stuck in JavaScript. Well, how do we do an async function? I thought you just, oh. I feel like this isn't going to work. Let's see. Even do anything? Role is not defined. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Ultimately, we're back at the same place where we were. I guess it's cool that you can, like, call it in JavaScript, but does it really bias anything? It only exists. So the problem is this file only exists in the browser. Like, there's no, like, this file doesn't exist in the server, so there's no query you can make. Like, there's no request you can make to the quote-unquote server to, like, grab the file. So what we're probably going to have to do in this case is JavaScript runs and sends the file back. Which is kind of stupid. Because then you're making an HTTP request. That's the only thing that can send stuff from a browser to anywhere. So, I mean, it just sounds gross. It sounds really gross. And here's our blob. It's beautiful, right? Huh. Okay. This is pretty stupid. But what can you do? How to get data from the browser to my Python program. It's gonna have to send a request. Man, do I hate that idea. So now we have to write a stupid web server to just dump a post request. I mean, does not get stupider than that. It really doesn't. I mean, the other way to go about it would be to not run this on a browser. Maybe one of these virtualized things can run this file. Something like these called? No, it's not called a virtual browser. It's called a Selenium Alternatives. Puppeteer. So Playwright is the big one, and Puppeteer is the big one. And then Puppeteer. Okay, so what I want to do is, like, these are frameworks that you can run like a headless Chrome instance. If that's running, then yeah, you can. So let's see. So we're gonna run the JavaScript on one of these. This is gonna take the screenshot or this, like, that snapshot of the DOM, and then that can give it back to the Python program. How that's done is a question that needs to be answered. I mean, the good thing with this is I can replace it with some Node code, or with Node. Fortunately, Node is kind of stupid, as again, it's JavaScript, but get DOM HTML. Trying to get this. What? This guy's using jQuery and Puppeteer. Kind of retarded. Kind of stupid. Man, this is stupid. Okay, fucking A. What am I gonna do? Yeah, see? This is a freaking Microsoft project. Okay. New browser. So here, I can actually run the JavaScript that I was playing with. Doesn't really solve our problem. Does it though? Man, it's like a whole nother tool that I would need to fucking write. And I do not want to do that. The whole point of this is so I don't have to do that. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to do this. Okay, I mean, that's cool. Let's just open stuff. Kind of done. We have to be able to get a piece of data. It's like so stupid that like I need to do this. I don't know what to do. I mean, like, I don't know what this does. Create object URL. Okay. Okay. Then I don't know what this thing is. Okay. Well, let's see what this does. One.href. Okay, so we need to href equal to URL. Okay. And just click. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to create a link element on the page. We're going to attach the URL that we generate, and then this is going to just call the link download. So if we go in and run this, then you need to select where to download it. It's not horrible. It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad, but let me see. My file.txt. This is going to actually be next to. Okay. So we're going to go to index 2. Don't want to do that. Can it still import the same shit? We don't want to do that. So instead, next to the instead, can we clip out the JavaScript that we don't want, for example?